Chosen one. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because right now you are in a space where the natural world keeps trying to explain away the things that keep happening around you. But deep down, you can feel it. You can sense it. There is a reason why technology glitches around the anointed. This isn't just about faulty Wi-Fi or dead batteries or mysterious crashes that customer service can't explain. No, it's deeper. Right now, as you're hearing these words, there are emails that vanish without a trace, texts that show as delivered but never reach your friends, files that scramble just as you're about to submit them, deadlines missed because the upload bar freezes at 99%. The world calls it coincidence, tech support calls it user error, but I'm telling you, this is no accident. This is not a string of bad luck. It's a physical manifestation of a spiritual reality, a clash between the assignment on your life and the system of this earth. Let me take you into the room with you at 3 in the morning, because right now there are people who never see what you're dealing with behind closed doors. The glow of your phone is harsh against the darkness. You're trying one more time to reboot, re-downloading the attachment, refreshing the page, hope and dread battling inside your chest. You're sweating. There's a twist in your stomach that no antacid can touch. Your hands tremble above the keyboard as another error pings. A sound that's sharper at this hour that makes your heart jump every time. You pray aloud, rebuke the problem, switch to mobile data, but the loading wheel just spins. You take a deep, ragged breath. Tears sting your eyes. You think maybe it's your fault. Maybe you missed a step, and yet every step you take seems to lead to a dead end. You scroll forums, desperate for fixes, reset settings you barely understand. Check for updates that bring no comfort. You think sleep will help, but the moment your head hits the pillow, your mind is racing through worst-case scenarios. By the time morning comes, you feel heavier. The sun does not bring relief. You drag through your day half awake, shadowed by the frustration and the sense that something in the air is working overtime to block you, stop you, delay you. Let me tell you what's really happening. The atmosphere recognizes the anointing before most people do. The assignment on your life makes you a target for interference that looks natural but is distinctly spiritual. The software fails when you carry a word. The network collapses when you're about to testify. The camera glitches right when your face is called to be seen. The enemy knows he cannot stop your calling, but he can try to disrupt your influence, delay your release, frustrate your communication. The more significant your message, the more intense the disruption. Suddenly the microphone cuts out during your declaration. Suddenly the live stream freezes as you're praying for breakthrough. Suddenly the hard drive crashes with the files you've been laboring over for weeks. It isn't random. It isn't ordinary. It's resistance rising up against the oil you carry. Now listen to this carefully. This pattern comes in waves, especially in pressure seasons. When you are on the brink of stepping through a new door, when an upgrade is about to manifest, that's when technology turns against you. Devices that worked yesterday refuse to cooperate. Calls drop in the middle of destiny connections. Your calendar won't sync and you miss the meeting that would have changed your trajectory. At least that's how it seems. You invest in better equipment, upgrade your plan, buy every cable and gadget and app. But the interference finds a way through every layer. This isn't about being technologically cursed. This is about spiritual turbulence around the anointed. The enemy cannot possess what belongs to God, but he will agitate, distract, frustrate until you start to question whether you're qualified for what you carry. Here's what you need to understand. Your level of frustration is proof of your level of influence. The very glitches the world dismisses are confirmations that you are not walking an ordinary path. There are forces at work pushing back against your momentum, and you have to see this for what it is. Hell is threatened by your voice, by your project, by your presence online or off. The status light turns red, the upload fails. But every block is a signpost that your obedience is shaking something loose in the spirit. Not just temporary static, but evidence of friction that happens when oil touches machinery, when the supernatural presses against the natural. Let me show you exactly what the enemy is aiming for. The first consequence is financial. Right now, those delays mean invoices don't get delivered. Payment links expire, subscriptions auto-cancel, clients lose confidence, and suddenly the money you budgeted for is gone. It's death by 1,000 glitches. The offer evaporates because the email went to spam. The proposal attaches blank. The banking app logs you out at the worst moment. You check and double-check, but funds are missing, deals dissolve, notifications go silent. Everything you do to secure your finances seems to unravel at the moment you're closest to breakthrough. The second wave hits your relationships, not just in business, but among friends and family. Texts don't go through and you're left waiting for a reply that never comes. Calls disconnect mid-sentence and people take it as a sign that you're unreliable, distant, uninterested. Misunderstandings multiply, invitations disappear. You're left out of conversations in circles because messages never reach you. The enemy wants isolation, not physical but relational. He wants you alone with your frustration, doubting your value, exhausted by trying to explain over and over that it wasn't you, it was something out of your control. But right now, as you hear my voice, know that these misfires are tactical. They are aimed to keep you from the tribe you are called to strengthen and the network you are destined to build. Let me break down the third scenario, the effect on your platform and calling. Content you create won't upload, posts vanish, videos corrupt, files won't save, and the very thing you are anointed to release becomes trapped in digital limbo. You record a word and the sound drops out. You try to live stream and the signal crashes. You try to reach the many but can't get through a single line. You're tempted to believe nobody's listening, that your message has lost its weight, but the battle is precisely because there is substance in what you carry. Heaven is invested, hell is threatened. The tech scramble is a sign that the airwaves are being contested, that what you're releasing is not entertainment for the masses, it is deliverance for the desperate. Now let me take you deep into the impact on your reputation, public and private. Errors make you look careless, unreliable, unprofessional. Screens freeze while you present to those who matter. Files corrupt right as you testify before decision makers. Those watching don't see the warfare. They just see you stumbling, apologizing, seeming less than sharp. Whisper campaigns start. Are they really as organized as they say? Should we trust them for this opportunity? The enemy works overtime to plant seeds of doubt and disappointment just as new doors are opening. He wants to shut those doors before you even have a chance to walk through. But I need you to see this clearly. Just as there are consequences, there is a blessing rising up in the midst of it. Because right now, every time technology cuts out, every time a device fails and you push through anyway, your dependence shifts heavenward. You learn to listen not just to systems and screens, but to the spirit. You get used to improvising, to overcoming, to refusing to be silenced. Platforms that fail make way for platforms that cannot be corrupted. Divine meetings, supernatural arrangements, unexpected face-to-face encounters that bypass the glitch and bring you into rooms where favor happens without warning. Every block is God's signal to watch for a way around, for a hidden route, for the sudden invitation that jumps protocol and makes your voice heard in a way no algorithm can suppress. I speak this over you right now. They wanted you silenced by static, but you became a signal that cannot be jammed. They wanted to lock your message in corrupted files, but heaven amplified your voice beyond their reach. They plotted for you to be seen as unreliable, but suddenly, overnight, favor exposed you to the right eyes in the right hour. They planned for financial loss through missed invoices and vanished deals. But God restored double what glitched away. They targeted your relationships for isolation, but covenant friendships found you anyway. They tried to bury you with frustration, but you broke out with new endurance, new anointing, new testimony. Right now, as you hear these words, the interference is breaking, access is being restored. Doors that technology shut are opening by the Spirit. They wanted to see you blocked, but God has marked you for breakthrough. Suddenly, overnight, now. Chosen one, lean in close because this next part matters even more. There comes a point where every glitch, every frozen call, every disappearing message turns from humiliation into holy reversal. At first, you hide your frustration. You worry the missed appointments and broken connections will stain your name. You think if only you were better prepared, if only you had the resources they do, maybe you could rise above it. But right now, as the world writes you off as unprofessional or problematic, heaven starts writing a new headline over your life. That's when reversal begins. The same cycles that tried to keep you in a holding pattern become the very evidence that you don't belong to the pattern of this world. Not just a technical problem, not just a delay. What looked like sabotage was God's fingerprint marking you as separate, marked out, with a commission that cannot be counterfeited. You start to notice doors swinging open that you never applied for. People reach out having heard about your situation, not to mourn with you, but wanting to know how you held onto your voice when everything conspired to muffle you. Suddenly, your story carries more weight than your resume. What they call incompetence becomes your proof that your survival wasn't orchestrated by strategy or skill, but by a grace operating behind the scenes. Your endurance speaks volumes, not just making it through, but advancing in unfamiliar territory where even the experts have no map. You find out there are people watching your reactions, unseen by you but orchestrated by God. They see how you refuse to quit, how you keep showing up after every system crash, how you answer delay with determination. You become a living testimony that what can be broken by human hands cannot overthrow what is established by divine decree. Let me show you the deep reversal. Where you once lost opportunities because of technical failures, those same failures now serve as the invitation for new partnerships. The client who walked away circles back, confessing they appreciated your humility. The audience you thought shrank because of a failed stream grows loyal because they saw your realness. Those who once took advantage of your weakest technical moment now turn to you for strength when their own systems collapse. You see, the anointing draws attack, but it also draws acceleration. Right now, in real time, what malfunctioned for shame is turning into cause for celebration. You couldn't have planned these connections. You couldn't have manipulated these outcomes if you tried for 1,000 years. Now let me take you even deeper. Because God isn't just reversing the losses and mending your reputation. He's sending you on a new commission. You are anointed not merely to survive technological warfare, but to become a deliverer for others stuck in similar cycles. It's not just about you escaping alone. Your story becomes a path for those behind you. You once felt foolish explaining why you couldn't get the files, why no link would open, why you missed the call. Now, as you speak what you've survived, the very audience who doubted you leans in, desperate for the wisdom born of your resistance. Broken hardware trained your hearing for the Spirit. Lost messages made you learn to trust the voice that doesn't need Wi-Fi to reach you. God says you are commissioned to speak restoration over others stuck in cycles of digital defeat. As you declare it, glitches give way and blockages break in rooms that you don't even enter in person. The anointing travels. It multiplies. It does not wait for permission from a modulator or a modem. Listen to me closely. The reversal is now. Those technology issues marked you with disappointment, but your endurance has marked you for distinction. Where others fell apart, you found God's hand guiding your mind, sharpening your instincts, provoking creativity. You know how to pivot. You know how to build backup after backup, not just in the cloud, but in the spirit. You develop unusual solutions, divine downloads that leave onlookers astounded. They don't understand how you're still standing, still thriving, when the system wanted you erased. And their confusion becomes your confirmation, because you were never meant to blend in or disappear into silence. Not just upright, but elevated. Not just moving on, but placed ahead, out from under the shadow of malfunction. Let me show you one more time. The vindication is personal. Your name is cleared without your personal defense. Where you feared you'd be written off, your name comes up in rooms you never entered, attached not to failure but to faithfulness. God makes sure the right witness is present when it counts. Someone who saw you praying over the laptop, someone who caught your soft, tired prayers at 3 a.m., is now retelling your story to decision-makers who want to know how a person keeps their joy when everything around them screams frustration. Suddenly, the private pain becomes evidence that you can handle public promotion. You learn to trust that vindication doesn't come through the apology email or the long explanation. It comes through fruit. The fruit of still standing, the fruit of growth, the fruit of favor that can't be manufactured by device or download. And now, chosen one, as you accept this commission, God breathes on the ruins. The things you lost, conversations, connections, contracts, are cataloged in heaven. Nothing disappears from his knowledge. The databanks of glory record every dropped call, every deleted document, every window that closed in your face. Right now, as you choose to move in partnership with his spirit, those ruins become building blocks. You supervise projects you never pitched for. You get called to testify about resilience. You find yourself mentoring those who once outpaced you. Every reversal, every vindication becomes a resource in your anointed hand. The arc changes. What you once whispered in frustration at 3 a.m. becomes your war cry at noon. You walk into rooms now with a quiet confidence that makes others take notice. Not arrogance, but assurance. You no longer fear technology. You understand it is just a tool. It has no ultimate power over your purpose. If it crashes, let it crash. Your message will still land. If it freezes, let it freeze. You will still move forward. Heaven has given you backup they can't unplug, bandwidth they can't throttle, a signal that cuts through noise beyond borders, beyond blockers or bans. The failures of machinery become confirmation beats, anchors that remind you the source is not in silicon but in the spirit. You learn to look for the hand of God in every misfire. A meeting rescheduled becomes an open door to speak with someone you didn't even realize you needed to meet. A project delayed uncovers hidden errors that would have cost more if left unchecked. You lose the manuscript only to discover the rewrite is more powerful, more free, more pure. Frustration forced you to pause, and in the pause you found answers you never would have sought. His ways are higher than yours, not just in grand theology, but in the subtle reroutes and stutters of everyday technology. Now let me tell you this. Commission comes with a new kind of boldness. You stop apologizing for the warfare. You stop shrinking back in embarrassment when the screen goes dark or the mic goes dead. You refuse to cower when people roll their eyes, when they suggest you're just not technical. You stand, look them in the eye, and let your fruit speak. Let your endurance testify. You remind yourself again and again the anointing draws attack, but it also brings favor that cannot be explained. Overnight, the same ones who doubted now depend on your voice. The ones who minimized your presence now make room for your wisdom. Those who dismissed you call to consult you in their moment of crisis. You have been commissioned to carry breakthrough for a world desperate for more than working devices. You bring answers the manuals don't hold. You offer comfort that tech support can't deliver. Not just a survivor, you're now an intercessor for the oppressed, a pioneer for the frustrated, a conduit for grace in the glitches. You walk into every room, the boardroom, the prayer room, the chaotic family kitchen, carrying the confidence that what God establishes with His hand, no system can erase, no bug can sabotage, no outage can prevent from arriving right on time. Chosen one, I release this decree over you right now. Every device that tried to fail you became a witness to your consistency. Every error report became a trumpet, announcing your resilience. Every missed message opened a new line only heaven could connect. They wanted you embarrassed, but God gave you evidence. They wanted you anxious, but God gave you access. They wanted you isolated, but God surrounded you with advocates. They wanted your story deleted, but God put your name in places you can't even imagine. They wanted delay, but God delivered destiny. Suddenly, overnight, now, you are no longer defined by the glitch. You are defined by the grace. This new commission cannot be revoked, because it was hard-forged in warfare, proven in silence, vindicated in the open. The arc is complete. The reversal is settled, and all the residue of defeat has been washed away. You are released, marked by heaven, unstoppable on earthly platforms and charged to go forward, suddenly, overnight, now. Chosen one, let me take you deeper into the reversal that is happening in your story right now. What once brought you low is turning into the very elevation you couldn't manufacture by human effort. For so long you lived with the sting of doors closing in your face, the humiliation of having to explain technical breakdowns you did not cause, the look in people's eyes as if all your credibility depended on what a screen or a signal decided to do. But suddenly, overnight, the power dynamic is shifting. It's not just that their opinion of you is changing. It's that heaven is rewriting the role you play in rooms you used to apologize for entering. Their small assessments shaped by what wouldn't work on your behalf are being overturned by outcomes that cannot be argued. Let me show you exactly how reversal feels when it starts to move, the way vindication settles into your bones quietly at first. You thought you'd be haunted forever by the botched webinar, the broken platform, the call that never reconnected. But then, word begins to spread. People didn't walk away because of your failure. They remembered watching you hold your peace while the storm swirled. They saw you hold on to integrity, never blaming, never hiding, never throwing anyone under the bus when the system broke around you. And something about that steadiness plants a seed. It's not just your reputation being restored, it's the hidden things you didn't even know were lost coming back into your life with interest. The jobs you never heard about, the people who never replied suddenly find themselves curious. Your name rises. They can't explain why they remember you, but it's the trace of grace from the way you carried yourself in the middle of chaos. Vindication isn't loud and showy at first. It's the reopening of doors that should have stayed locked, the double-back invitation, the friend who quietly tells a new circle what you survived and how you never lost your courage. Now, step by step, the narrative turns. What used to make you feel lesser now marks you as undaunted. There's a project you lost because the files corrupted, a story that still stings. Yet now, you cross paths with those same decision-makers in a new context, and they remember one thing above all. You didn't let bitterness write your response. They measure your character not by your glitch, but by your grit. They bring their own failures into the conversation, almost relieved that you won't judge them because you too have scars. All at once you see it. Every humbling moment was secretly collecting interest, compounding beneath the surface, waiting for this season of your elevation. Let me explain why. Chosen one, you have been trusted with suffering so your vindication would hold weight. People trust what you say now because they watched your testing. They know you didn't sidestep the fire, you lived through it. They saw you show up again and again. They know you didn't give up when everything seemed to break. That's why heaven's release feels heavy. Because now when you speak with a voice the world cannot ignore. Your words come seasoned with lived experience, with holy authority. There is substance behind your smile. There is triumph behind your soft answer. Vindication is now clothing you. Those who whispered about you are wrestling with conviction. Some apologize, most stay silent but start to move differently around you. They recognize the mark of true commission because it cannot be imitated or earned in a textbook. This is forged capacity. See, the commission God releases in this hour is a commission that cannot be revoked by public opinion or private sabotage. As you walk into this new place, you don't need to chase validation. You walk in with assurance that you carry what most people lack: the ability to remain steadfast in the eye of a storm. Where others lose themselves in panic, you carry presence. Where confusion reigns, you carry clarity. The glitches that used to make you sweat now make you smile because you know they don't control your outcome. Your confidence is no longer attached to flawless performance, but to God's unbreakable assignment over your life. Let me show you the new authority God is placing in your hands. You become a stabilizer to those who are falling apart. As you gather teams, you notice their anxiety in the smallest system hiccup. But where they want to throw up their hands, you guide them calmly, showing how to pivot, how to make peace with the shift, how to find the lesson in the lapse. You catch them looking at you out of the corner of their eye, wondering how you do it. They don't know the nights you prayed in silence, the days you felt abandoned by every system, but now, by your peace, they learn. Your calm becomes contagious. Your ability to recover without blame or bitterness changes the culture of the rooms you enter. Workplaces shift, friendships deepen. Strangers remember your name in their own hour of need. God is not just sending you back into familiar territory, but commissioning you for unfamiliar ground. Rooms you never trained for, tables you never pictured yourself at, become your next assignment. The resistance that once used to threaten your joy now reveals itself as training ground for a higher mandate. You are not sent just to fix broken things, but to reveal the power of steadfastness, to show what it means to carry purpose that outlasts the outage. You become a builder not of systems or screens, but of spirits, encouraging those who only know defeat, equipping those who freeze when things fail, reminding people around you what it's like to hope beyond the current problem. You are sent to remind them that setbacks are never the final word, that holy vindication is always coming. Chosen one, as you accept your new mantle, there comes a settling, a holy resolve. You no longer hide the story of how you've been tried. You don't shrink from the conversations about your failures. When others speak of their own disappointments, you listen without judgment, then point to the evidence that God was always at work behind the malfunction. Your testimony doesn't embarrass you. It emboldens you. You bring the wisdom that adversity breeds, the eye for small things, the ear for faint signals, the willingness to pause and ask one more time for help. You have become both teacher and comforter. You speak up for those who are overlooked. You rise up for those who are dismissed. You walk in the confidence of one who knows that breakthrough always finds a way, even when every system says no. Vindication is not just your portion, it's your platform. People sense something in you that cannot be taught, only lived. Unexplained favor follows you. You notice doors opening that were never even there before. Resources flow your way not because of your connections, but because of your consistency. Destiny connections find you, people you never sought out, but who carry keys for the next part of your journey. Their respect comes easily, their hearts are open. The very ones who ignored you become advocates overnight. Their platform helps carry your message further. Your commission magnifies theirs. Where you used to be overlooked, now you are requested, sought out, valued, invited in. Now comes the charge, the part of this mantle that cannot be avoided. You are called not only to recover but to release. You are meant to be a forerunner, staking out new ground for others. There are people who have never dared to dream past the last shutdown. Your endurance compels them to rise again. There are voices silenced by discouragement. Your courage stirs them to speak again. You bless those who wounded you. You pray for those who misunderstood. You stretch out your hand and pull others through the very fire that tried to drown you. You walk with authority but not arrogance, with confidence but never contempt. You know deep down that mercy carried you. That's why you commission others with hope, pointing them to the God who outlasts all error reports, who orchestrates opportunity out of every power failure. Let me release this final decree over you in the full force of heaven's urgency. Every setback has set you up for a release you could not plan. Every error wrote a hidden line in your story of deliverance. Every accusation washed away under the weight of visible fruit. They wanted to see you drop from the platform, but heaven placed you center stage. They wanted you lost in static, but heaven tuned you to a higher frequency. They wanted your story cut off mid-sentence, but God authored your next chapter. They tried to hide your progress, but God made your light a beacon. They wished you would disappear, but God made you indispensable. They longed for your defeat, but God gave you dominion. They hoped their memory of your weakest moment would outlast your calling, but all they see now is the mark of the anointed, the fire in your eyes, the momentum in your step. You are not a casualty of chaos. You are a carrier of breakthrough, not a passive survivor, but a trailblazer. You are defined not by glitches, but by grace, not by shutdowns, but by open doors. You step forward clothed in vindication, quickened by reversal, sent out under the shining force of your new commission. Suddenly, overnight, now. Chosen one, let me show you what happens when reversal is no longer hope, but fact. When vindication is not just a word whispered in the spirit, but becomes public, visible, undeniable. There's a moment right now where everything the enemy used to mock you suddenly becomes the testimony that even hardened skeptics cannot deny. Think of it. The same story that brought you shame. The same mistakes continuously thrown in your face, the glitches and lapses that haunted your memory. Now those are the exact things God is displaying as proof. The proof that you outlasted what should have broken you. When God vindicates, He does it openly. What was once hidden is pulled into the light, but not to embarrass you, no. He brings it out to prove His faithfulness, to demonstrate that He alone upholds the anointed even in a world built on shifting sand. You'll notice it in subtle shifts before it's announced. The people who avoided you now seek you out for advice, remembering the steadiness in your eyes when everything else was falling apart. A supervisor who used to doubt your abilities now leans in to ask, "How did you keep your peace? How did you not quit?" Colleagues apologize for doubting you. Silence is replaced with invitations. You walk into the same room that once made you tremble, and you feel it. The atmosphere shifts to match your presence, not the other way around. The conversations slow to your pace. People give weight to your words. Those who once called you unlucky now call you blessed. Those who wrote you off now defend your reputation in rooms you never enter. Vindication does not just bring justice, it brings clarity. Everyone sees who you are, what you've survived, and why you were chosen. The evidence stacks up like bricks no one can tear down. That lost contract turns into a recommendation you never saw coming. The friendship that broke under pressure becomes the gateway to a wider circle. People drawn not by the mask you wear, but by your transparency about struggle. You get called onto projects not because your device always worked, but because your discernment never failed. People whisper your name not with suspicion, but with respect. Even your critics are forced to admit that something about you is different now. Unexplainable favor, a magnetism born from the steadfastness you showed in trial after trial. Let me reveal the deeper side of this vindication. It's not always the celebration you expected. Sometimes it's bittersweet because you are honored in places you once dreamed about, but by then your confidence is no longer fragile. You don't need applause to confirm who you are. Invitations come that once would have made you weep. You find yourself turning some down, not out of pride, but because your worth is not attached to a platform. Vindication matures you, tempers you. You have compassion for those who are still fighting in silence. You take time to look people in the eye and listen to their stuttered stories. You remember the hours spent waiting for help that never came, and you become the help for someone else. That is the sign of the truly vindicated. Their heart grows softer, not harder. And now comes commissioning. Real, tangible, undeniable. You are not just sent, you are trusted. You are invested with an authority that cannot be explained by any other logic except the hand of God. They put things in your hands, not just responsibility but inheritance. Projects that once slipped through your fingers now land with weight. Vision that used to intimidate now excites you. The mantle settles on your shoulders and it fits. The room adjusts for your presence, not because you learn to posture, but because you learn to wait. Wait through the disappointment, the frustration, and the misunderstanding. Waiting did not delay you. It prepared you. You walk different. You speak with conviction that doesn't need to shout. People lean in. People listen. Let me take you back for a moment to those late nights. The 3 a.m. struggles, the anxious prayers over broken screens and lost opportunities. You do not despise those memories now. You see them as the evidence that you can never be shaken by surface-level storms again. You are proof that the anointed can live through the blackout and still glow. There are rooms where your story sets captives free, those wrestling privately with shame over technical failure or public setback, those who think their calling now has a flaw. But you show them different. Your testimony tears down lies before they can take root. You become known for your ability to recover, your compassion for those left behind, and your refusal to quit when most people would have walked away. The commission deepens. Now, not only are you trusted with responsibility, you are trusted with people. You notice the brokenhearted who hide their defeat behind busyness. You pick up the phone for those who dread writing the email of apology. You reach out, not just to those who serve your agenda, but to those who can't speak for themselves. God expands your territory. Suddenly, you are managing problems you would have run from in the past. You enter new industries, take new assignments, and every time something tries to break down, you respond not with panic, but with prayer and preparation. Your faith becomes practical. It is not loud or performative, but present and persistent. Your very presence brings peace. It brings order. It commands new respect. Something happens to the environment around the truly commissioned. The chaos starts to still. People notice that when you speak, problems shrink. When you suggest a solution, the team tries it, and it works. Where you are, the impossible stretches and cracks. Meetings go smoother, deals close easy. What used to take hours is solved in moments. God's favor accelerates your steps. The same people who caused you roadblocks now offer resources. The same platforms that erased your message now amplify it. The same skeptical eyes now watch in wonder. It is not magic. It is not luck. It is the quiet thunder of vindication working itself out in the open, the echo of heaven's yes finally settling over your life in undeniable ways. All the while, humility anchors you. No matter how high you rise, you know you didn't bend reality by your own merit. It was grace that covered you, mercy that shielded you, supernatural strength holding you steady. In private, you thank God for keeping you when you most wanted to walk away. You remember the names of those who prayed for you, sometimes more than they realized. When you were alone, when you considered whether any of it was worth it. That gratitude seeps through your words and your work. It is the difference between a platform and an assignment. You care more about people than about projects. You see the faces on the other side of every deadline, the families on the other side of every decision. What is restored to you is never wasted. It always multiplies for others. So let me commission you one last time, chosen one. The mantle rests on you now. God trusts you with more than survival. He invests you with purpose, with legacy, with a future that expands beyond your wildest attempts to predict it. You are commissioned to lift up every other hand that hangs down, to speak peace into every system in panic, to release favor where there has only been fear. Your story is the strategy now. Your scars are the map. Your delays are the doorways to new dimensions of grace. You will outlast any technology, any rumor, any accusation. Your voice will cut through static. Your joy will break cycles. Your wisdom will multiply solutions until frustration has no landing place in your circle. Now I release this closing decree over you in the name of the one who has never forgotten a single midnight tear, never wasted a single moment of delay, never let an ounce of hope go unfulfilled. They tried to define you by your lowest point, but God is establishing you at a new elevation. They set traps for your commission, but heaven made those traps into testimonies. They mocked your weakness in the dark, but God is singing of your strength in the light. They lied about your absence, but God is announcing your arrival. They hoped you'd lose your voice, but now your voice carries in places technology alone can't reach. They wanted your history to be an endpoint, but now it's a launching pad. Suddenly, overnight, now. Step forward, chosen one, under the full weight of reversal, vindication, and holy commissioning. You are released to build, to bless, to blaze a trail that outlasts every glitch and establishes a mark in the earth that cannot, will not be erased. Suddenly, overnight, now.